Okay, let's unpack this because Hollywood is delivering some seriously juicy legal drama right now, like straight out of a movie script kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
We are diving deep today into this Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal battle. And look, this isn't just your standard A-list gossip.
No,
It really feels like it's peeling back the curtain on the real power dynamics, behind the scenes.
it really does. It touches on some uh, pretty crucial stuff. Workplace conduct, how people speak out, accountability,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a place like Hollywood where, let's be honest, image is almost everything.
Right. And the big spark for all this recent buzz is a pretty significant ruling from a federal judge.
At the headline event, yeah.
Yeah, the big news from the sources we've been digging through is that the judge actually tossed Justin Baldoni's massive $400 million defamation suit.
$400 million?
Oh, no, $400 million. That's like blockbuster movie budget territory, not a personal lawsuit.
It's an absolutely eye-watering figure, and the judge's reasoning, based on what we're seeing, is really key here.
Okay, what's the logic?
It's that Blake Lively's original report, the one alleging harassment, is considered protected speech,
Ah, okay. Protected speech.
which is a huge legal concept, right?
Yeah.
It basically means the court sees her statement as something legally protected, so it can't really be the basis for that kind of massive defamation claim.
Right, so the court looked at Baldoni's huge legal move, the one with the crazy price tag, and basically said, nope, this isn't it. Some sources are even saying the suit got gutted.
Gutted, yeah. Like a slashy movie premiere just suddenly getting yanked.
Exactly, a perfect Hollywood analogy. But it's not totally over for Baldoni, is it?
No, not entirely closed off. The info says he has until June 23rd to refile.
Mm.
But, and this is a big but, it has to be seriously trimmed down.
So,
It needs to focus only on potential contract disputes, completely separate from the whole defamation angle tied to her speaking out.
wow. So that whole narrative he pushed with the lawsuit, the defamation, the reputation damage because she spoke up, that's just gone.
Pretty much kicked to the curb by the judge, yeah.
So, okay, it's clearly not the absolute final word legally, but man, that's a massive swing right at the start.
Precisely. It definitely sets a very, very different tone for whatever happens next. A huge development for anyone watching this.
Okay, let's really get into this. People are calling it the legal earthquake. This ruling, it feels like way more than just, a standard step in a lawsuit.
It really does. A lot of the analysis frames this less as just a legal win for Blake Lively and more like a significant cultural power move within Hollywood.
How so?
Well, her team is apparently positioning this as a win that echoes beyond just her case. Like, it could empower other women in the industry who might be thinking about speaking out.
Which is huge. I mean, in an industry where silence can sometimes feel, enforced.
So NDAs, legal threats, yeah.
Exactly. This feels like a major moment.
Yeah.
And of course, you can't talk Blake without thinking about Ryan Reynolds.
Rather have. Yeah.
He's been publicly quiet, but the buzz, the sort of insider talk, suggests his support behind the scenes is, totally there.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
Some chatter even speculates the lawsuit might have been partly aimed at them as a couple, maybe even their marriage.
Trying to tarnish the brand, maybe?
Possibly. But it seems like, if anything, it's had the opposite effect, like solidified their united front.
Yeah, if that was the goal, it definitely backfired. Which, speaking of Ryan, leads to one of the juicier predictions we saw.
Oh, yeah.
Get this. Expect him to potentially use this whole saga as fodder for a classic Deadpool legal parody scene.
No way.
Totally. Picture it. Some character like Justin Baldoni losing a ridiculous lawsuit to a superhero in, impossibly high heels.
Okay, that would be pretty meta.
Right. But it perfectly captures how much attention this is getting and how Hollywood just eats its own drama sometimes.
It really does. And looking at some of the deeper analysis, there's this sense the ruling maybe sniffed out some bigger power plays.
Like what?
Well, one bold prediction is that Blake could actually emerge from all this, not just as an actress, but as a serious behind-the-scenes player. A mogul, even. Yeah, like new production deals, more clout on set.
Yeah.
Maybe even landing a major first-look deal with a streamer before this thing potentially even hits trial in 2026.
That's a huge forecast. But it kind of fits, right? Someone leveraging this intense scrutiny into more control.
Absolutely. If she's seen as this powerful figure who stood her ground and won this round, it could definitely boost her industry standing.
Which brings us right to why Hollywood itself is reportedly getting a little nervous.
The ripple effect.
Yeah. According to some of the insights, other stars, especially ones who might have their own stories, are apparently terrified this sense of precedent.
The fear being that maybe survivors won't be so easily silenced by these big, splashy lawsuits anymore, the ones designed to just shut them down.
Exactly that. This is where it gets way bigger than just Blake and Justin. The info suggests this could be a catalyst, maybe even crack open a second wave of accountability movements.
Especially now, when things like NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, maybe don't have the same ironclad power they used to.
Right. One analysis even called it the potential start of a post-NDA Hollywood.
Wow. Post-NDA Hollywood.
Yeah. This ruling, saying her harassment report is protected speech even against a massive defamation suit, that could really accelerate things. It might push stars, execs, everyone to update contracts to explicitly protect speaking out about workplace stuff without fearing legal blowback.
That would be a monumental shift. It would fundamentally change the power dynamic, giving individuals way more leverage.
Okay, let's flip the coin. Let's talk Justin Baldoni and the state of his reputation right now.
Yeah, the assessments aren't great.
The word bleeding is being used, which sounds bad.
It's strong, but seems kind of accurate based on the commentary. Baldoni built this whole image, right? Feminist filmmaker, especially with adapting Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us.
Huge book, yeah.
And this lawsuit, seen by many as retaliating against someone speaking out about harassment, it didn't just challenge that image. The analysis suggests it pretty much shattered it for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's incredibly tough to come back from, especially in Hollywood where your persona is your currency.
Hopefully.
The prediction here, unless he pulls off some major public mea culpa, like a really soul-bearing interview or something.
It seems unlikely right now.
Right. The odds are high he gets quietly dropped from the sequel to It Ends With Us. And there's even talk that Blake might use her leverage to get the first film retooled or re-edited with a team she trusts more.
Those are huge potential professional hits tied directly to that project that was so key to his image. Really highlights the cost here, legally and reputationally.
And speaking of PR nightmares, that alleged attempt by his team to subpoena Taylor Swift.
Oh boy, yeah, that lit up the internet and insider chats like crazy.
What was the reaction?
Pretty much summed up as, if you subpoena Taylor, the Swifties will subpoena your soul.
Okay, that feels about right. That move alone, according to a lot of takes, wasn't just bad noise. It potentially alienated huge fan armies and probably industry allies who get how powerful she is.
Definitely seems strategically questionable. Future studios might just see that as high-risk baggage.
Totally. And the prediction. A pointed Taylor tweet the minute this goes back to court. Apparently, she's watching.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Okay, let's step back from the direct legal stuff for a sec and get into the really juicy side tangents. The whispers.
Ah, the blind gossip stuff. Always fun.
Our sources hint there's been a deep blind gossip whisper network around this case for years.
So not exactly a new secret among insiders. It's been brewing.
Apparently. And there's even a blind gossip-style leak alleging a specific producer on the film was, like, tracking Blake's private life and maybe leaking info to a third-party investor.
Whoa, okay. That's intense. Tracking her life.
Right, and there's a theory tied to this that maybe this wasn't just personal or defamation. Maybe it was professional sabotage dressed up as defamation.
Sabotage, like someone wanted her off the project quietly.
That's the idea. Someone wanted her out, maybe without a big public fight, and instead she completely flipped the script by speaking out first.
That adds a whole other layer of intrigue, doesn't it? Suggests some really deep, almost Machiavellian stuff going on behind the scenes over this film project.
Makes you super curious about who that third-party investor could be. And then there's Colleen Hoover, the author.
Right. It Ends With Us.
She's publicly backed Blake, which makes total sense given her book's themes and Blake starring in the movie.
Right.
Sources point out she also had ties to Baldoni from the early adaptation stages. So she's reportedly in a kind of tricky spot.
Walking a tightrope, yeah. Fans are definitely watching to see if she leans more publicly towards Team Lively as this goes on.
And the prediction here is fascinating. Maybe Hoover reissues the novel later with a new foreword. Written by Blake, maybe.
Yeah.
Or another female co-star.
Oh, wow.
Directly linking the book's themes, strength, resilience, speaking out to the real-life drama around the movie. That'd be a powerful statement.
That would be incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And impactful. Aligning the book with the current narrative, solidifying support for Blake.
And the fallout isn't just hitting Baldoni directly, apparently. The intel suggests actors who worked closely with him, maybe on Jane the Virgin, or through his company Wayfarer.
They're starting to distance themselves.
Allegedly, yeah.
Oh.
The forecast is a quiet exodus. You know how Hollywood does it.
Subtle retreat.
Yeah. Look for sudden creative differences and announcements on projects or development deals just fading away. Basically, someone becoming professionally toxic.
Radioactive, yeah.
And don't be shocked, one source even bet specifically on Gina Rodriguez if a major star who worked with him publicly praises Blake soon. Like, within weeks. Keep an eye out for that. That'd be a huge signal.
That would be a very loud public endorsement from a former collaborator, clearly showing where allegiances might be shifting and isolating Baldoni even more.
Okay, so looking ahead, our sources all agree. This legal drama is nowhere near done.
Not by a long shot.
In fact, you might want to buckle up, because if the harassment lawsuit moves forward, March 2026 is being circled on calendars as a potentially massive date.
Yeah, the analyses are pointing to that date. Some are calling it potentially the trial to end all trials for this Hollywood era.
And the prediction, it could be televised, like Depp v. Heard, but maybe even bigger A-list tension.
The public fascination would be immense.
Oh, the AI vision for this is nuts. Red carpet reporters outside the court, TikTok sleuths analyzing every blink, AI-generated courtroom reenactments going viral. If this goes public, it could absolutely shatter viewership records.
It's wild to think about.
And the boldest prediction of all, Blake Lively walks out of that courtroom, whatever the legal outcome, maybe having cemented herself as a political icon.
Wow. That really elevates the stakes beyond just the legal win or loss, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Suggests it could become this huge cultural moment, solidifying her image in a really powerful, almost activist way.
It's fascinating and, yeah, a little wild to think about court becoming must-see TV like that. And speaking of juicy, the analysis included a few unverified gossip bombs we just have to mention.
Always the best part. Lay 'em on us.
Okay, rumor one. Netflix execs supposedly already pitching a limited series inspired by this whole lawsuit.
Of course they are.
Think the morning show meets Scandal, but like ripped from very fresh headlines.
Makes sense. Hollywood loves turning its own drama into content.
Rumor two. A huge actress and the Whisper Network, complete with an eye emoji, is maybe saying Zendaya might step in to co-direct or co-produce It Starts With Us, the sequel film with Blake.
Whoa. That would be a massive team-up. Huge statement of solidarity, massive star power boost.
Right. And rumor three, a major Vanity Fair cover story, reportedly already in the works, all about Blake's side of things.
The big tell-all.
And yes, the report added, with her own stylist, of course, which just feels so perfectly, hilariously Hollywood.
It really does. Those little unverified details, they just capture the intense buzz perfectly.
We even got one that felt like a call-in question, like Lisa in Long Island asking, is it true Baldoni is banned from parties now?
And is he?
According to the reporting, allegedly, yes. A few big Hollywood charity hosts have apparently already quietly crossed him off the list for upcoming summer galas.
Oof. The social freeze-out, that's real.
The description used, frozen margarita at a beach wedding where no one invited you energy.
Okay, that paints a picture. A very specific, brutal Hollywood picture.
That's just another layer of the fallout, right? Professional and social.
Seems like it, yeah, based on these developments.
So that's our deep dive for now. Blake came out swinging by speaking up. The court swung back by gutting that massive defamation
That's
suit.
a huge $400 million swing, yeah.
But like the sources make crystal clear, this drama, absolutely not finished. It's just shifting into its next, maybe even more explosive phase.
That dismissal was critical, shifted the legal focus entirely. But Baldoni can refile a narrower claim. So the situation rolls on, possibly towards that really high-stakes trial date in 2026.
Exactly. So why should you care about this beyond the gossip and the famous names? Well, because cases like this, even though they play out on this crazy, glamorous, sometimes absurd stage.
They reveal fundamental things.
Yeah. About power, about the courage it takes to speak out, about accountability in this massive industry that shapes so much of our culture.
They become these really high-profile examples, you know? They can influence how similar stuff gets handled down the line, legally and just within the industry's own code.
And here's that final thought for you to chew on, building on that whole post-NDA Hollywood idea. Forget the final legal outcome for a second. Forget what happens in 2026 if it goes to trial. What does this fight and this initial ruling really suggest about where things are heading for transparency and accountability in entertainment? What real power shifts might actually be happening behind the velvet rope because of stories like this one?
It's a really good question. Is this a genuine turning point?
Yeah.
Where maybe controlling narratives through lawsuits or silencing people with contracts, is that really starting to lose its power?
Keep watching this space because you know we will be. And we'll be right back here to break down the next chapter, one juicy detail at a time.